Welcome back to Zion's Redemption Radio Network. I'm your host, Mark Lichtenwalter. Today we're going to be covering part 5 of, well, the preface in chapter 1 of Mysteries of Creation, pages 9 through 11. So we'll get into that reading, and then I'm trying out some new software to try to make these videos nicer, I guess, but I'm still going to do the commentary like I normally do with my ugly mug on the screen. Anyway, before we get into that, oh man, I am exhausted. So yesterday I started off in Nampa and I went to Wilder, unloaded there, and then I went back to Nampa and I had to drop my second trailer, and then back into this spot. And then after I got done with that, really late at night, I think it was like 9:30 before I was able to get back on the interstate. Um, I was able to talk to my wife for the second time that day, but the earlier time, we weren't on the phone for long because I was trying to figure out how to get these videos put up. Oh man, I was like getting pushed further and further back because of the weather. So I finally just pulled into a rest area just north of the Idaho-Utah line on I-84 and slept there for 7 hours. And now I'm driving again, so I'm splitting my sleeper berth. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it back to Price without having to take another break. But after I do get loaded, I will be going to Jerome, Idaho, and then one other place. I'm not really sure. I really don't think I'm going to get back before sundown tomorrow. In fact, it's pretty much impossible. There's probably no way. But I'm doing my best. This week's been kind of crappy. About 2:30 in the morning, I pulled into a rest area, and if you're a truck driver, you know that pulling into rest areas at 2:30 in the morning is not gonna fix your problems normally. But luckily, somebody had just pulled out of a spot, and those spots at that rest area are long enough for me to put my truck and trailers into. So I was able to get some sleep and then start off again at 10:30-ish, I think. So anyway, yeah, it's been one of those days, one of those weeks. I think this is the second week in a row it's been one of those weeks. But you know what? I do my best. Excuse me, I keep pushing forward. And last night, combined with how icy the roads were with the snow, and that I was tired anyway, I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna have to sit here for a little bit and sleep. So, all right, well, let's get into the reading. I created this video. This is my first attempt at figuring this sort of thing out. I don't know. Well, we'll see how it goes. But I don't know. I'm pretty happy about it. I couldn't get it to scroll from bottom to top like I usually do. But anyway, let me know if you like it, and or if you prefer the old method. And let's get into it. I'll catch you on the other side of the video. Thanks for watching.
Part 5, pages 9 to 11 of Mysteries of Creation, pages by Ogden Kraut. Summary: Ogden Kraut argues that while science has extensively studied the physical workings of the human body and the cosmos, it offers little insight into their eternal purpose or destiny. He contrasts this with prophetic knowledge, stating that figures like Joseph Smith, Brigham Young, Moses, and Abraham understood far more about creation than they recorded, because such truths require revelation rather than observation alone. The text teaches that creation is eternal. Worlds have always existed and will always exist, continually undergoing cycles of organization, testing through good and evil, and eventual redemption and exaltation. Creation is not merely the physical forming of a planet, but the deliberate preparation of an earth designed for human growth, learning, and dominion. Kraut addresses the problem of suffering by explaining that hardship, opposition, and even the presence of evil serve a higher, ultimately benevolent purpose. Though the world is filled with pain and adversity, these conditions are meant for humanity's eternal welfare. In time, mankind will understand this divine design and recognize creation as a marvelous work and a wonder, realizing that humanity's destiny is inseparably linked with God's work, and God's destiny is centered in humanity. Reading, page 9. The human body, as studied by medical science, has encompassed thousands of years and thousands of men. Their in-depth studies have involved all the intricate phases of the body's construction, its reactions to chemicals, and how it can be repaired. Their conclusions have filled thousands of books, yet none of these professionals have written much, if anything, on the eternal destiny of the body. So too with the scientific work of the astronomers. In years of research and the labors of many lifetimes, their studies have produced few comments or words of wisdom concerning the purpose or destiny of this earth. Astronomy is the study of heavenly bodies, and anatomy the study of human bodies, but scientists and doctors in neither area have revealed much on the eternal destiny of these heavenly or human bodies. Joseph Smith and Brigham Young often expounded important truths connected with the creation that were not found in the Bible. This is typical of inspired prophets. Moses and Abraham also saw and knew more about the creation than they recorded. Apparently, we cannot understand these things unless we see them in like manner. However, Brigham Young tries to give us just a glimpse. Now, I wish to ask you if you have any conception or idea as to the creation of the world. Oh yes, you reply, a great many of us have a tolerable idea of it, but still there are mysteries we do not understand. There are some things in the Bible about the creation that seem to be dark. We have learned some things in this kingdom we do not understand, and that do not correspond with the reading of the Bible. Let me open the eyes of your understanding. There has never been a time when the creations of worlds commenced. They are from eternity to eternity in their creations and redemption. After they are organized, they experience the good and the evil, the light and the dark, the bitter and the sweet, as you and I do. I'm up on page 10. There never was a time when there were not worlds in existence as this world is, and they passed through similar changes, in abiding their creation preparatory to exaltation. Worlds have always been in progress and eternally will be. Teachings of BY 3393, Collier. Creation is more than just making a world. Besides forming oceans, mountains, rain, and atmosphere, it is the placing of a huge sun to give light and warmth. It is a garden creation to be filled with plants and animals, especially designed as a place for man to live. It is an earth on which man is to have dominion, to grow and learn, and have increase in his posterity. But if this great architectural masterpiece was made expressly for man, why did God subject him to so much cold, hunger, sickness, and pain? Why must man be forced to endure so much trouble, poverty, war, and death in its most horrible forms? Then, as if that is not enough, why did he create a devil with billions of evil imps to add to the misery of man, It has been revealed that this little world stuck out in space is more than a scientific miracle. Even though it is plagued with sorrows and adversities, it is all for the good and everlasting welfare of mankind. When man finally learns the reasons for all these creations and conditions, he will rejoice and exclaim that it is truly a marvelous work and a wonder. This little globe, resting among the stars, has a surprising and predetermined future. It exceeds man's meager understanding in this world, for God's special work is to bring about the immortality and eternal life of man. Only much later will man learn that his destiny is centered in God, and the destiny of God is centered in him. Page 11. Moses beheld the world and the ends thereof, and all the children of men which are and which were created, of the same he greatly marveled and wondered. Moses 1:8.
So that was fun. You know, I really suck at doing this stuff, and I really suck at reading too. And I used to be even worse. I'd stumble over things, mispronounce things, like all kinds of stuff. And many, many, many years ago, God told me I needed to start reading out loud. And so I did, and I would read out loud the text that I was reading in a book onto a tape recorder, and then I would listen to it. And that helped me a lot to be able to comprehend and to, like, learn the things that I was that I was reading better than just reading it silently. But I didn't know back then that I would be doing this sort of stuff. So I'm grateful that God clued me in on, hey, you need to practice. Because, like, oh my gosh. And then the other thing, too, is like, you should have heard my old radio programs. Like, oh, I had such a hard time. And it was so raw. And I mean, way, way worse than what I'm doing today. Um, but over time, I've been able to get better, even though I don't think that I'm perfect. And I think that my voice is, I don't like my voice. I don't like listening to my voice when I hear the recording. I don't think many people do. But, and then, like how I say and like a lot, oh, that drives me nuts when I'm listening to it. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, I sound like I'm a valley boy from California, which is kind of funny because I used to live down in Orange County with my aunt and uncle in Mission Viejo and Laguna Niguel, on and off from time to time, but it wasn't for that long, like short stints. Anyway, which I really liked being there, but I wouldn't want to live there as an adult. No way, too many people. I like where I live now. Anyway, yeah, just tell me how you are, what you think. I mean, I'm not giving a lot of commentary today. It's because I'm really tired and like in my mind, I'm I am exhausted, but also my body's exhausted, but I'm not falling asleep or anything, and I'm able to concentrate and to drive good. It's just, oh, I don't know, driving in the snow for hours and hours and hours and watching the temperature get down colder and colder and seeing the roads get worse. And like, I was driving like 30 miles an hour at certain spots because of how bad the snow was, you know, and then I would speed up a little bit, but it was really icy, so I wasn't going that fast. And oh, the joys of being a truck driver in the wintertime, which I actually like the cold. In fact, right now, I know you're going to think this is funny. So I have the heater on in the back because I have a separate heater in the back for the sleeper. And I use that heater, which goes through my closet to keep all of my snow gear, in case I have to chain up, nice and toasty. But it's 37 degrees outside. It's 12:27 p.m. on, what's today, the 8th? Yeah, the 8th of January 2026. And I have my air conditioner on full blast blowing on me. When I used to work out in the oil fields, um, when I was doing what do you call it, oil field emergency management, like I would drive around and like when you're in the patch, you go like 10 to 15 miles an hour, really, like sometimes slower, 5, 10. Anyway, so you're not going that fast, but like the winter of 2008 to 2009, and then the winter of 2009 to 2010, like literally down by Bonanza Power Plant and down in the South Patch of Ouray oil fields, like Bitter Creek Canyon or wherever, if you know that area, like it would literally be between 20 to 30 below zero every single night. And I drove at night. I took care of emergencies at night when most people were gone home. I'd be out there plugging away, doing whatever I needed to do to make sure whatever was being done. And anyway, so, but I used to drive around with all my work lights on, and I drove a semi truck. Well, it wasn't. It was a Kenworth T800 straight truck with a 90 barrel tank on the back and like a bunch of toolboxes and hose trays. And I had all kinds of lights all over this truck. I even had lights right behind the stacks that went straight up in the air so people could see my lights when I was coming, especially if I was on a quick call, like I had to get somewhere quick because something was happening. You know, instead of giving me flashers, they gave me flipping spotlights that pointed straight up in the air. But anyway, so I'd be roaming around out there with the heater on full blast, and it was a day cab, no sleeper. But I'd be rolling around with my heater on full blast at the window and at the floor to keep my gloves and my socks and my spare boots warm. And I hate wearing coats when I'm driving, but I would just be in kind of similar stuff that what I'm wearing now, and I'd have the windows rolled all the way down, and everybody would tease me about it. Oh, the polar bear, you know. And if it wasn't windy outside when the sun came up and it was above 10 degrees, I'd be walking around just in this sort of stuff, no coats or anything. I always do wear gloves though because my hands get cold, but I don't know. So back then I was making six figures doing that job, and I was single, and I lived in my motorhome, so I didn't have a lot of bills, just a car note and insurance for the car and whatever, and I owned the motorhome, and I lived out in the patch, like out in the wilderness. No hookups, no electricity, just my own propane and the water that I brought in. And then, so I decided the company that I was mainly leased to, although I was shared between companies for whatever the jobs were, but mostly Anadarko, some EOG, some Chevron, some Exxon, some XTO, and then other companies. I even would go out of state sometimes and stay in hotels to help out with dealing with the some emergency or whatever, like in Colorado or Pennsylvania. Well, Pennsylvania I was helping to open up an oil field out there. But anyway, so I mainly worked with Anadarko, and I got the number from the people that I worked with, and I called up the Texas main headquarters, and I asked them to give me the phone number for the field office up in the North Slope or Prudhoe Bay, and I can't remember. Basically, they're the same area. Anyway, I can't remember exactly who I called, but I called somebody up there, and I was like, I need to know where you buy. Sorry it cut out. I ran out of memory on my phone. Anyway, but I called up to the northern point of Alaska where they do drilling oil field operations, and I was like, hey, I need to know where you buy your coats, your FR coats, fire retardant or fire resistant coats, because you have to wear those in the oil field. Of course, where I was in the oil field, I was back then, like it was the Wild West. They didn't have a lot of safety stuff. They didn't make us wear FRs. They do now, but yeah, it was crazy. It was the Wild West. But anyway, so I was like, hey, I need to know where you buy your coats for, for your guys up there. And they said, this company. So I call that company. I'm like, hey, can I order a coat? Sure. And I got the best coat that they had. It was awesome. It cost me, I think, with taxes, a little under or right around $1,000. Of course, I was making six figures back then with no family, no bills, really. So, so I got this coat, and it was so awesome. It had the hood that went over the top, like was extra large. I could wear it with my hard hat, and I could put the hood over the top of my hard hat. And the hood came out with fox fur lining, because it helped block the wind, and it was like a full-on Arctic coat, and like the sleeves were nice because the cuffs were about 8 inches the uh, into the sleeve, which was nice because um, your fingers freeze out there in the oil field, even if you got good gloves on. So they had those the cuffs into the sleeve a ways, and you could pull it back, but and it was to keep your hand inside of the coat, like with your gloves on, and so I still have that coat, and it's still warm, but it doesn't. So when it was like 20 to 30 below zero, like, or any temperature, but even that cold, with my other gear on and that coat, I'd have to unzip the coat because I'd start to sweat. And when you start to sweat at that temperature, you can get hypothermia really fast. So you have to really regulate, how much, like, you have to regulate yourself. You can't just like keep it zipped up all the time. So I, I, if it was windy, I'd zip it up a lot, but most of the time, like, I'd have to regulate anyway. And then, like I said, I had spare boots underneath the defroster on the floor, spare socks, and spare gloves. And the reason I do that is because when you're working outside at 20, 30 below zero, you can work for about 20 to 30 minutes, maybe, but you've got to get back in the truck and take the frozen stuff off and put a fresh pair of socks or gloves or boots on. And like, I had boots that were rated to 180 below zero. I didn't like wearing them because they were so thick and heavy. But I also had mud boots that would go up to just below my knee, and they were rated to 110 below zero. And then I had other footwear as well. And yeah, I just try to not get hypothermia or not get frostbite, and flipping. I wish I had more pictures of those days. Like, I do have pictures of those days, some, but I don't know. You know what? It sounds like torture to some people, and I loved it. And I don't mind the cold. I do get cold though. Like when I used to run mail from East Bay and Provo for the post office down to Price, Utah, and then I would unload at the Price post office, and I'd set up all the carts, and I ran a 48-foot dry van with a semi-truck, day cab. And anyway, so I'd unload, and then I would reload into a box truck, and it'd take me like an hour or something, and it would, like 4 in the morning, like it'd be freezing cold in there, and I'd be doing all this work, and then I'd get in the box truck, and I'd go down to Elmo, Cleveland, Huntington, Castledale, Orangeville, Clawson, Farron, and Emory. And then we had an apartment in Farron. I'd go back up to the apartment. Anyway, by the time I got there, like even with like my Carhartt overalls on, my body would be cold to the touch, like really cold, and I would have to sorry, this driver's not paying attention to what he's doing, so I'm watching him. Anyway, I had a heated blanket in my bedroom, and I would turn that on, and then I would get into a hot shower, and then I would wrap myself up in the blanket because I would be so cold. But I don't know. I like that job. I like working in the cold, the air-conditioned earth. But I don't like driving on snow and ice. I mean, nobody does, but if it wasn't for the snow and ice, I wouldn't mind the cold. Although I always tease my kids every year because they're all like, "It's snowing, yay!" And I'm like, "Snow's a 4-letter word and it will not be used in this house." And they're like, "Dad," like they do, and which is the reaction that I like to hear because I just love teasing my kids. Anyway, and then I'll tell them, every year people die because the snow is evil and it kills people in many different ways. And I've had hypothermia and been on the brink of death twice. And I've had hypothermia other times, but like I've been on the brink of death twice. And one time I was found by another individual, and they were able to save my life. The other time, when I was homeless, like it had been raining, I couldn't find shelter, and then it turned to snow, and I was already soaked, and my clothes all the way to my skin turned to ice, and I was trying to get to this place where I knew I could get shelter, which was about probably 10 miles away, and I knew that if I stopped, I would die. So I just pushed through it. It hurt, but I just pushed through it. And I remember walking along and just looking at the snow besides where I was walking, thinking I could just fall down and it'd be all over with. I wouldn't have to suffer, and that was right after my conversion. So I wasn't suicidal, and I had a new purpose in life, because I told God if he healed me and showed me the truth, I'd serve him for the rest of my life. Like a month or two before that, maybe it was like, well, I think it was about 2 months before that. Like yeah, and he saved my life, so if I would have just fallen down, like the rest of my life from the time that I asked and to the time that I got what I asked for, and then to the time I died would have been 2 months, like whoop-de-doo, I don't know. I am just passing Utah Valley University where Charlie Kirk was supposedly shot. I think it's a government psyop myself. I don't believe he died. I've looked at a ton of evidence, and I just don't. But anyway, that's where I'm at now. So, all right. Well, this is me yapping along. So I hope that you like this part of the video, and if you don't, I guess you're not going to be here for this. But at least those people were here for the reading part, right? So. All right, well, I'm going to get this posted today. I still don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm still tired. I will do something. I'm going to make something happen. There's articles that I have not posted yet. I just need to work on them a little bit. That might be something and I'll try to get them out by 6 p.m. every day. But if you don't see me get the stuff out by 6, something happened, and I'll try to get it out as soon as possible. After that, um, I'll try to get it out by 9 because I do like to listen to Zion Media, and I like to listen to it live stream. So, excuse me, they usually do their stuff from 6 to 8 or 6:30 to, or I mean no, 7 to 8 or 7 to 9 or something like that. So, um, I also like to be in the chat when I'm doing the premieres on YouTube at Zion's Redemption Radio Network. So if I can't get it on by 6, I'll get it on by 9, hopefully. We'll see. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you everyone for listening. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell notifications so you get all of the content, or at least all the notifications for the content. You can also follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/LAZURUS 1977. My name is Lichten Walter, LICHTENWALTER, LICH, and then the word 10, and then Walter. It's not that hard once you get past the overwhelming 13 letters of it. And then I've got a Facebook group, LDS Last Days Prophecy and Gospel Discussions, LDS Gospel Mysteries, a fellowship for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and also my pages, Messiah Ben Joseph. Let's see what's another one. Zion's Redemption Radio Network is another one. So those are my pages. Anyway, I post there regularly. I post in all of the groups. Thoughtful Saints by Jacob Hansen, I post there a lot. In fact, that's one of my favorite groups. Even though I'm not an admin in any way, shape, or form of that group, they still let me post there, and people talk about, I like it when people comment on my videos, even if they bring opposing views, and that's fine. But when they tell me, you're just a jerk, or you're just a false name calling, give me a break. Let's get to an intelligent dialogue with one another and stop this name calling crap that people do, And now I'll name call those stupid people. Anyway, all right, I'm gonna let it go. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care. God bless, and shalom.